All right, so why don't we get into it? So for those that are joining, we are recording this webinar, and this will be placed on a special landing page that we're creating later on. So we'll share the recording with everyone who attended, as well as registered for those that maybe couldn't attend for one reason or another. But if I may kick things off, so a lot of people who have heard me speak before or have been engaged in our webinars before will hear me say something. Will hear me say this often, which is, the evolution of the accounting industry, right? Which I barely want to use because it's a bit of a misnomer these days. The business consulting industry that Sachs finds itself in today is really based on the fact that our partners, our CPAs, the members of our firm, our advisors are really focused on being the #1 advisor and the consultants really for all of our clients. That's the value that we provide. And sometimes to be a proper advisor, that means looking outside the fold of what the firm can offer to its clients internally, and looking out into the marketplace to find solutions that we believe would provide tremendous value for our clients and that will help to really take our industry and the industries of those clients that we support to that next level. And the guys that I have on the line here with us today are a really, really great example of that. So we were introduced a short while back through a member, a person that we've dealt with for some time, a close friend of the firm who helps, as part of a German incubator group out of New York City that helps companies in Germany to build a market for themselves here in the United States, bring their solutions to market here in the States. And we were really excited when we first came across Appose, and we were excited for a number of reasons, and I'll kind of go into that as we go through the conversation, and I'll introduce the guys in a second. But I think that there's been a lot of changes to the landscape as a result of technology. Everyone's talking about our favorite buzzword these days, which is artificial intelligence and AI, and there are massive implications to the skills gap that currently exists in the marketplace. And Appose came forward with a wonderful solution that really helps to identify those skills gaps and really come up with a way for organizations to start building real proactive plans on how to improve those things. So I can't do the solution justice, and I certainly don't want to steal any of Mumi's thunder. So Mumi, if you don't mind, if you could introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Appose, and then let's get into it. And I have questions which I'll ask throughout, and if anybody wants to log questions through the app, feel free, and we'll be watching for those questions. But let's start with a proper introduction, if you don't mind.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mumi. I'm the co-founder of Appose. So we started with Appose still 6 years before, and we started because we came out of the HR business, recruiting business, and we know how much important it is to have the right skills if you want to do some projects. And we said 6 or 7 years before, we have in mind that the world is changing from a line functionalities to a project and skill-based organizations. Today, for example, Deloitte has a big study and a white paper out where they talking a lot about the skill-based organization. And so they provide also our solution for this in Germany and in Europe. So and we said next to this, people are the most important factor for entrepreneurial success, especially if you didn't look at or if you look at robotics and AI. And today the topic AI is everybody talk about this, but we said we must use this to find out the potential of the workforce and everybody personnel in your company. And we started with this, and what we do today is it giving us a good feedback if we're working today with Daimler or Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen. We work very close, or big banks in Singapore also. They said, and they all involved in the product. What you see later, if I want to show you a little bit of our product and how we do this, you see a lot of input also from the customers from the first days. So, and I want to jump in if you find With our short presentation, we decided to don't do a PowerPoint workshop. So we want to show you live in our system how we do and do some use cases. I want to start with the problem every our customer has when we talk with them about a competency model and skill-based organization. All of them have a lot of potential in their workforce, but they don't know the right personal potential of every employee. And we help them to get a structure in this. And what you see in the right side is the first view. We do also in this moment with the structure, we do immediately a skill gap analysis for the business areas and especially for every single employee. So you know who's your project engineers, who are your design engineers, business analysts, and so on. And if we're looking deeper to one of these persons, for example, Anna, she's one of your project engineers. And the skills you see on the top in black, that's the skill she's using in her role, in her current role. Most of the companies, when they have information, they have this information. In Europe, we work a lot with companies they're using, for example, SAP success factors or Workday. This information they found because about the role, they know this. But what's more important in our view of a person is what skills do you don't know and competences do you don't know about your employees, and that show you a potential. Where is her interest? And if you look at the skills that she has that you didn't know, and she's worked with these skills maybe on a free time, then she has a potential to be the next data science analyst. She needs some upskills, but she has the potential for this. And that's a role you didn't find easily on the market. And you can close a skill gap or role gap in your company if you know that the potential in Anna is for a data science analyst. And everybody is agreed for this picture. If you didn't see the potential of Anna and lift her up and go up with her and she help you to close the gaps, she will go out, because a headhunter or your competitor will see the potential and hire her. And to know this from Anna, you must know this also for everybody in your workforce. So, and what we do with this informations and with the data science that we use in the background, we can do the skill gap analysis. We do some strategic competency development, so we can close also critical roles, or you can make organizational development, recruitment. We can use it directly for the recruitment. I will show you how. And the fifth point is very interesting. It's a project we do with Mercedes, because I will short intro to this, because they have a lot of very interesting competencies in their workforce, especially at the dealers, the car dealers. And then they ask us and say, okay, if you know so much about skills and roles, can you show us new business potentials with the competencies that we have in our company, especially in the DA and at this dealer? So, and then we find out, or the system shows that's potential, for example, to make some inspections for electric bicycles, or to sell the insurance directly and don't send the customers out to an insurance company where you're partnering. So you have an employee who has the license and he can do the insurance for the car dealer by himself, and some other businesses that the system is realizing and make some recommendations. So any questions to this point? Otherwise, I want to jump in the product. Leon.
Mummy, I don't have a question, but I want to provide a couple of comments. I think that, what you said, I hope it resonates with people, and just to kind of tie things a little bit to home for us. We're at a major precipice in the accounting industry because we've had so much change. The only constant in our industry is change, in many, to be honest with you. And I think that one of the big challenges we face in the emergence of all of these new technologies and these new platforms and AI is what you say really hits home, which is that we are potentially missing opportunities to monetize our existing workforce in different ways, right? In ways that we didn't even understand or realize were possible. A tool like this would really help us to identify that. We say a lot, I joke a lot that, and this is a car thing, so maybe you'll see where I'm going, but a lot of employees that we have, I joke sometimes that they're basically like a Ferrari that you never take past 25 miles an hour, right? So it's like you have all this possibility and all this capability within these resources, but you kind of fit them into a mold that they don't necessarily belong in. And I think that in our industry specifically, as we start, through this evolution of technology, I think tools like this are going to be really, really important for us. So I love it. I just wanted to make that comment, and obviously that's why we're having this conversation, but it's a really, really cool dynamic.
Thank you, Leon. Yeah. So, and this also the first time for you, Leon, you see this system. That's the last version where we have a lot of more information out of our data science pipeline. So I will show something what is I will start with this where you're familiar with the competency model.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can see here the first time in this competency model, you see the different business areas. Let me make this on the left side small. So what you see on the right side is you see the different areas of business you have in or the divisions you have in your company. For example, sales, technology and innovation, marketing, human resource, the workshop, parts, management, and service. So that's the first circle. You see here, if you go over an area, you see immediately also some information. For example, here in the sales division, you require 20%, and you just have assigned 17. So you need 3 more. We can go in the deep and look, okay, do you need to hire them, or you have some potential in your workforce? And the second circles are the roles that are needed in this business area. You see here, you need a sales manager, you see the sales account director, and so on. And you have here some roles. For example, you didn't have somebody. I will show you what is to do there. And at the end, the last circles are the skills they are needed for every single role, also with the information of a completion rate. Let's jump in this business area sales and open it up. You get immediately some more information and recommendations. First, you get a recommendation for the sales assistant. That's the white area here. Oh, I forgot something when I talk about this with the color. You see the colors, the different colors are the different areas, but the deeper, darker the color is, so better you are in this area or with this role or skill set. On the other hand, it means if it's white, you have a real big skill gap or role gap. For example, with this person or this role here with the sales assistant. Or if you go here in the parts department, you see here a white area. That means you have a skill, you have a person also in, but this person didn't have this skill. And you see very, very easy where you do have to take action. And the actions are here also with the recommendations that the system gives you. For example, with the sales assistant, if say you have somebody in your workforce who's done fix added to a role, she's free, and you can add her to a role. If I do this, please take a look at this white area. It's getting darker. and then you get the next recommendations.
Mm.
Also, you get some informations where your pull downs, what is pulling down your organization in this area, and it's Microsoft Office. You have improved the skills with your employees, and then you can go and take a deep dive to the skill and take a look about who is it especially, or you can see, okay, who's need motivation because he's don't fit really good to his role, and you must keep him motivated. So, and you can do this also here. But very interested is you can take a real deep dive in 3 areas in this business area. You can take a look about the roles and see, okay, how good I'm in the roles. You see the new car salesperson, for example, who's on this role and how good is it fit.
Mm.
Or you could take the assistant role. You see, okay, you have an open position. You can press assign and you get a recommendation. You see here is a second person. She's fitting to 79% to this role, and she's unassigned. And you can also take a look at everybody who's unassigned. But you see, okay, the next person who's unassigned is just fit to 25%. It's not good. So it's better to take this person. And you assign this to the role, and you see the sales assistants are now 2 of 2. But it's not a completion rate of 100% because they have skill gaps. And that's the next where we're looking. So we can also take a look at skills. In this moment, you can take a look at, you have upskill issues, you have assign, or you have skills we are totally fine. If you open the skill, you see in which roles is the skill needed, and that's the main goal line here. And you see the person, she's need one more improve, and if you press here improve, you can go to a system like an LMS system, or
Mm.
you can have connected a learning management system, and we make the connecting to the right catalog, so that this person is getting to the success driven courses. She don't need to search for this course. Or in this, you see how much people you have in the sales manager role, and then you see that's the goal line, who's need how much improvement. You see this here in this skill area. Also, you can take a look to the persons. For example, we add this person to the role of the sales assistant, if you remember. When we open it, we see, okay, she has no skills with Microsoft Office. That's normally, you can't find this, but in the test system we do this here. So, and then you must improve. That's here, if you press to the symbol, it's the same, it's getting to a course for Microsoft Office in your LMS system. So, or you see which skill gaps she also has. You see this, the green line is every time the benchmark, so the lines you set. And you can do this view for everybody you have in your workforce.
Mumi,
Do
I
you
think
have any questions to this?
I want to get to a question, but I want to say also to the folks that are listening and that will be listening is that this is about the time where my L&D guy, Nick, where he pretty much melted. His brain exploded. He's like, this is incredible. He goes, this is an amazing way for us to connect the LMS system to this solution and really help us to hit the goals that we're searching for right throughout the year and see the benchmarks of where we stack up. And it was just an incredible realization for him to come to. So just real quick before we get any further, and I want, this is really more of a point of clarification. So you're using an automotive example here because we've spoke about this before, but like, is there a certain industry that you guys play in more than others, or does it matter? Is this universally relevant? What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't matter because we started with IT when we started, because I'm from the IT. When we train the models and we make a quality improvements, we know if is this models that we trained in the AI, are the results okay or not okay. So and we built up these models generic. So it was easy to get it next to the banking, to the automotive. Why we talk a lot of automotive, it's our biggest clients in the moment, and we do a lot of for them. But to create it, we started in the next weeks with pharmaceutical and chemical industry, and it needs some weeks to train the model and improve this, and started with the customers. But it's the models are generic. It's totally easy to get in new areas, no new domains.
Cool. Makes a lot of sense.
So, and I will show you where is also that's very important. At least before we go to the benchmark, what is at next, I want to show the biggest impact of that. What you see is a lot of or the most companies that they now use our software, they tried before to start with a competency model, but they try it one time and then not more, because it's need a lot of effort to create a competency model from the scratch, because you need every role in your company, then every skill in your company in this role, and there the discussions you have with the different departments. Is this a part of the skill, and in which proficiency is it needed, in which role or which seniority? So the discussions, the workshops take a long time. And we have this, for example, with Bearing Point. When we discussed this with them, they also said, when we think we are finished, we can put it in the trash and start again, because the world is changing too fast. Yeah. The roles that we fixed and said, okay, that's the SAP consultant on level so. The skills are totally different 6 months later. So we can start from the scratch again. And what our system is doing, if you want to start with a competency model, it's two things. First, you get it out of the data science pipeline, the skills to a role, including the roles. If you need, for example, I added here the sales area. If you go in and say, okay, I want to add some, well, let's take a look at if we put some system engineer. What we do, let's stay in the sales area. Sales assistant, head of after sales, it matches to the car sale. So you see, it's here now, the role are fixed in our data science pipeline, and you get all the skills that are needed to this role out of the box as a benchmark. What you now can do is say, okay, our head of after sales, we don't need, you need all of them. For example, you don't need team management.
Sure.
You can put out a skill from this, and you can say he needs some analytic thinking, for example.
That's really cool. So it's a pretty high.
Yeah, analytical thinker we have here. Okay, he needs this skill. You can add also some skills and give him a proficiency, so you can customize this specially for your company. Every role, and that's one part. It makes it easier to start with a competency model. The other thing is, if in the time is some changes in roles came up, you get this information from the system that the role sales assistant you have, there are new skills, they are needed to this roles, and you can decide as a manager or HR manager, is this change relevant for your company or not, and take it. So you see this, we have here the roles. For example, we have here the roles with the, I want to show you this, what you are most interested last time. That's the things that happens in a role, and we have the benchmark. For example, That's the skills. You have a different type of view of the skills, and you see every time the green fields are the benchmark informations. What is on the market for the skill needed for this special role? Or you can go and compare it directly with the benchmark, and you see here how is the role different to the market in your company. And then you can say, okay, you can remove a skill or add a skill because it's a part of the benchmark, but you miss it in your company to add it to your role. You can make the compare for every role here.
It's so cool. Mubi, do you think that this, when it comes to the biggest change we've had in the marketplace, which is sort of the move to a remote workforce, right? Like, do you think this tool has a bigger impact now with the remote workforce than it ever has before? Because again, it's a loaded question because I'm thinking of what it's like here, and we now have employees in 24 or 25 different states across the country in the United States, and we don't see these people on a daily basis. So we hire based on what we're told, right? Either by a recruiter or what's on their resume, but it becomes really hard to identify a lot of that skill when they're not here every day. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that this is certainly a tool that could provide tremendous value there.
The biggest value you get out, and that's what we discussed also, and whereas Nick is coming in part of this, with the LMS. If you have it here and you can find the potential of the employees easier, if you have them on your side, maybe you have a feeling of them more if you're seeing it in every day, in every situation. But if you have a tool that challenge them also and give them some perspective, yeah, and it's really immediately connected to the learning management system, it has a big impact. But the most impact that as feedback we get from our customers is that the employees getting an how we call it in English, Zufriedenheit, Dankbarkeit, satisfaction. Satisfaction. So that they said, okay, we get the respect and the effort from the company. We see that they are really interested in us as a person to bring me to the next level. With all this, what you see, for example, here also in the start screen, you see for every employee, for every division, where is the potential? What's the next step? What's the recommendations to getting better as a company, as a division, or for every employee? And that makes a huge impact.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make another quick comment here. For those that are listening or those that are tuning in, I also want to make it pretty clear. I have the luxury of speaking to you guys, having a comfort level with this solution, having seen it a few times before, but also being in a position of leadership within my organization. And I don't want to limit the audience of appose to just HR professionals. There's massive value to an HR professional or a learning and development professional, training, management, et cetera. But really, executive leadership within an organization, this is a tremendous tool and a dashboard for a leader of an organization, a CEO, a CMO like myself, a CIO, to really get a grasp of where the opportunity is for them, for their employees. We all know our biggest asset as organizations is our employees. And we also know, unfortunately, that we're not always maximizing, the efficiency and the efficacy of that team. And to have all that readily available at our fingertips and to know where we're going, from a skills perspective and a competency perspective is such a valuable tool. So I just think it's really important that we make sure that as you're sharing this internally at your organizations, if you're listening to this, this is not just a tool for the HR team. This is really a tool for the whole organization.
Yeah. And we have customers, for example, the division managers or the department managers using it for the yearly talk with employees when they talk about what is the next level, what's the goals for next year, for example. They use this tool and discuss this about the profile for every employee. If we here and go to for example, in the here you see how it look an employee profile. I didn't show you this before. So his direct boss, they talk about this, how we can close the skill gap. They get also recommendations in the system. There are some new roles they are interesting for you. Does we want to work on this new role, and how you can get in 12 or 18 months ready to this critical role. And they can look at every skill, where are the skill gaps, and make some agreements for the next year. They use it in the daily business with their employees.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you can get down to that level. You know, and the other question I didn't ask before that I would like to ask now is really, so we mentioned that it's agnostic with regards to industries, but you know, what about size of an organization? So you're referencing some big companies, right? Mercedes, BMW, et cetera, and those are very big organizations with tremendous amounts of staff and resources. Like what's, you know, what is there such a thing as too small for this solution? What does that look like?
A two-man company, maybe it's too small, but we have a lot of customers there. Yeah, they both, if Marco and I do this, we know our gaps. And,
sure.
But we have a lot of companies in the area of 100, 200, 300 employees.
Yep.
And that's also fine. Maybe it's why we talk about a lot of Mercedes and Volkswagen, for example. Everybody know them. And we are a little bit proud.
Sure, as you should be. Those are great companies. Yeah. Well, and I think it's important, Mumi, to show that it does scale. So that's the other, you know, the other part of that question is, let's say, you know, I'm 50 employees, I'm 100 employees, and I grow. I don't really have to worry about growing out of this solution, right?
Yeah. And I think for a smaller company, it's getting more interesting to getting this benchmark data. And also, that's one part to have a system that using the big companies in your area, and you get the benchmark data. That's very, very interesting from the point of view as a leader in a company. The other thing is you haven't mostly so much HR experts and employees in your company if you are just 300 or 200 employees like Volkswagen or BMW, but you have a tool where you didn't need so much employees to get out this information. That's a huge benefit.
Huge. Mumi, we have a really great question from a good friend of the firm, David. So his question is, you know, understanding it is AI, and obviously he sees the value for the HR directors and why they'll love it. But what he wants to know is where the data is being pulled from. So when it comes to building out these profiles, skills, competencies of the employees, et cetera, you know, where are we getting this data from, and how, you know, how is that, how are we able to confirm those details?
Let me shortly share my screen. I want to show you a slide. Do you see the right?
Yep. Product slide.
Yeah. Okay, the right slide. So I will share. Thank you for this question. That's yeah, I'm waiting for this question. That's why we prepare a picture for this. That's how we create the data and the benchmark data and where the data came from. On the left side, let's start it there. You see there is public data sources, job portals, freelancer sites. We buy also data, and these are data, for example, from the job portals. We have a team that they are writing scrapers. They're searching for every website where we can find some job descriptions, hiring descriptions, everything what we found, where is roles and skills are in this document. We put it in a data in a big data pool and combine this and text and data and go in with machine learning components. You see it here in the middle. So put them after this, we get this in a multidimensional data space. Here you see what we do here is we started with the smallest point. That's a small thing. That's a skill and a tone. Often the skill is coming up with a second skill in a combination or a third skill. So, and if there are 3 or 4 skills together, you see on the top of the skills a cloud. In this cloud, and this cloud is a topic, a name, and that's the role. So the system is realizing this connections and the role. And then it said, okay, that's the role, system engineer. He needs Unix, he needs AWS, he needs cloud services, and so on. And this also in the same way, the system is realizing, okay, there is coming up a new skill every time near to this combination. And that's the point what I said before. If a role is changed, the system is realized this and give you a notification. There is a new skill coming up to this role. Is this interesting for your company? And that's how we do this. And just an information, in the moment, it's more than 1 million data points every day that the system is getting new inside to create this information for the customers. And what else we do with this data here in this room? We also create whole competency models. What you see here, that we can say, okay, if you want to build a software for a car, software-defined vehicle, we can give you a whole department informations, how the roles you need, how much of these roles you need, which skills you need in these roles to create this business area. You can get all the competency model from the scratch, from the system. And after we do this, and then we use this here and the end in our system, or we integrate this, that what you see is totally integrated. You can use it in SAP SuccessFactors, in Oracle HCM, or in Workday, everywhere you need, or in your LMS or LXP system, or in your talent management system. That's how we create the data, and that's the way how we also update this data permanently. That's what I said. The system is realizing every time dynamically if there is a change in the market for a role, if there is coming up a new skill to a role, and this is how you get this information. Is this answering your question?
Personally, I think it does. David can certainly comment to the wall there if it answered his question. I think what I love about the tool, which is sort of is very germane to the world of artificial intelligence anyway, which is that the more data that the tool ingests, the better it becomes, right? So that's the other thing that you guys, that's in your advantage, is as you sign more clients and as the tool ingests more data, it only gets more efficient and more effective as time passes, because essentially it continues to learn. And the more data inputs it has, the easier it is to learn. And, to the point that you made earlier, there is so much change happening, with regards to skills management, that this accounts for all of those changes, which I think is very important to notate. So that's very, very cool.
Yeah, that's why maybe in the moment you bring a good point up. So I can, in the last time, we can make, if there's some more questions, we can answer this. It's also, we do a lot of POC projects with the customers. For example, not talk every time about car companies. Let's talk about the finance industry. We have a customer in Singapore, a huge bank in Singapore. They want to do some fintech. They said, okay, we see that the fintech area is getting huge and they make good business. We want to jump in this business area. Does we have the right persons in our business, in our workforce? And who are the right persons to start in this business area? Can appose give us the answer to this question? So, and we help them, we show them, okay, that's the right persons in your workforce, and that's a career path for these persons to develop these guys to this new business area. We can do some things with this. So we have the data. We know which roles and skills are needed in the fintech area, and we can compare this with your current workforce. And it's a decision that you just make. This decisions intelligence. So you can make a decision because you have the information, the data. You know how long it takes for every employee and how much it costs to develop this person to this new area and roles. And then it's just up to you to make the decision.
This is the kind of intelligence that businesses from 2023 and beyond, right, are really going to need in order to be successful. It's something that I say a lot here at the firm with my background in technology, which is we have a tendency sometimes of forgetting how much data that we generate as an organization, and our ability to create actionable intelligence on that data is very often missed. It's an oversight in a lot of organizations, and I think that what you guys have done, in addition to helping to close that skills gap and really, you know, go towards this skills-based organization model, is to start leveraging that mountain of data that we keep talking about that we don't know what to do with, and leveraging it for the success of the organization. So I commend you guys. I think it's a really, really great solution. I think that we gave people a really good summary here. We gave them just enough. I don't want to give them too much because, you know, if you're still listening or you're on the line, our hope is that you will reach out to us as a result of hearing this and schedule time to talk to Mumi and his team, you know, on a one-on-one basis, and maybe even get some POCs underway. So Mumi, my last question, if you wouldn't mind, which we can kind of summarize, is just, we don't have to get into the nitty-gritty, but how does the licensing model work, just so people understand? So how do they secure this? Is it licensed user-based? What does that model look like?
It's user-based. It's a SaaS service, so you can use it, and it's per user per year you pay. It's a classical SaaS license service. It's very easy.
And what is the onboarding process like, Mumi? Do you guys work with the client to help them to onboard to the solution and train them as they go? What does that model look like?
It depends on the system where it's integrated, or does the company, we often have in the moment, companies, they want to use the standalone. It doesn't connect it, or is not integrated in a bigger system. It's maybe the biggest thing is it's connected to a LMS system. What's, from my perspective, makes totally sense that the causes is directly connected. But they want to use the standalone service, and they say we want benchmarks. We want to see the skill gap analysis at first and build up also our competency model. We want to use this for that. And there is no much big onboarding process needed for this. So we have companies, for example, they just have a role. They say we have a contract with an employee. We have a role in his contract. Please fill up this role in the system, create the user, and give us the benchmark data. We give the login to the employee, and he can go in and jump in and say, okay, I have this skill, I didn't have the skill. He customizes his own profile. That's a way. Other thing is we have customers, they send us a bigger Excel file with all the employees and the skills, and we can integrate it in the system. We are open to this, and it's ideally it's no effort. If it's effort, for example, we have customers, they have very old skill data, and they have a skill. I think often companies have a problem with the harmonizing of skills and roles. They have double names, and they didn't get this harmonized. We can also do the harmonizing and put it then in the system and make the migration. We have different ways. It's not a big effort to get a start.
Cool. Mumi, we have one additional question. So can the tool find candidates that are not internal? So let's say I'm looking for a resource to fill a role that I may not have, right? And maybe that skill just doesn't exist within my organization. Can it seek candidates from outside resources yet? Is that a capability?
Yeah, we can connect it, as you've seen the screen before, with the ATS, with the talent management software. And in this, we have, with this connection, you can fix this. So you can put in the candidate, and also if you have a candidate, you put it connected with the system, and the system says, to which role this candidate fits how good.
Cool.
You can close this. And the other way is, what is very interesting, we built up this feature, or this guy built up this feature the last 5 or 6 weeks before. Customers every time came up and say, we have a problem in the HR department to get the right skills and descriptions for a job role when we make the hiring. Because you have two extremes. The one extreme is you have a department or somebody in the department who gives you too much skills because he's combined everything what he's missing in his department in one role and say, find me this guy. That's not the real skills for this role. The other thing is you have one guy in the department, he said, are you too silly to know what I mean when I said I need a front-end developer? So, and then this guy in the HR department is sitting there and saying, okay, which skills I'm now searching for? And what we do is press on a button, you get all these skills that's needed for this and the description for the hiring out of the box from the system. And you can post it or use it in your ATS.
It's amazing. It's really, really cool. Mumi, I love the solution, man. So tell us, just let's leave everybody with this. And again, I thank you guys for the time, and I thank those for joining. There were some really great questions that came through. What's the future of Appose look like, right? As we move forward, or I talked at the onset about the possibility of you guys coming to the United States. Obviously, it's a SaaS-based solution, so you're global already, right? And there's no restrictions as far as where this tool will work. But what does the future look like for Appose? What's on the radar?
To build up the product to the next level, and we started because we had something in mind. We said we need the organization, and the skill-based organization means the next step for our application is, and what we want to provide is that you find immediately the right teams, the right persons to fix a job, to do a job, bring them together. That what you see here is the first step to have the information to bring the right persons in the right moment together to do a job, and then go out, bring the next team together. This team match is one of these biggest things that we started 3 or 4 years before. We stopped it because we said, okay, the most companies has a problem with these issues what we see today, but the next step is to bring them together, not only with the skill information, also with behavior skills, that we know how good our guys work together to get a best performing team in the moment. That's the next step, and that's what we want to do and want to provide.
That's awesome. That's really cool. We're certainly excited about that. That's a tremendous dynamic that I think would really help the equation. So awesome. Really, really awesome. Mumi, I thank you very much. Honestly, your enthusiasm and your passion for this is obvious, and I'm certainly not hiding my enthusiasm as well. When I first saw this, I was really impressed with the solution, and I think that for SACS clients that are listening, or people that are in a position to bring a solution like this to bear for their clients, you'll get the same level of passion all the time from Mumi and his team, and they really have a tremendous platform and a really compelling market position here. So I really appreciate you guys joining today. Thanks for those that came on, and like I said, this is going to be recorded and sent out to everybody, or it has been recorded. Will be sent out. So here's to the future of Appose and what's next for you guys. We're really excited to see you blow up here in the States, but also across the globe. So we're going to help in every way that we can.
We will come. We will come. We will visit you. And Leon and your team, thank you very much for the chance to present this in front of this audience and every participant. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Yes, you too, sir. We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for joining, everyone.